Jedd Fisch, Arizona football, and some national football or national college football talk. All that and more here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. There we go. All right, now we're going to hop around from conference to conference, talk a little bit of college football, talk about Arizona, some national awards, where I think some regional awards, where I think voters got it right, where I think voters got it wrong. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is the Pac-12, obviously, because we are on the West Coast. Listen, Kalen DeBoer at Washington has done an absolutely fantastic job. There's no doubt about it. He's essentially lost no games since he's been the Washington coach. He's done an amazing job. That being said, Washington was expected to be very good this year. Arizona was not. Arizona was expected to still be towards the bottom of the league. Kalen DeBoer getting the Pac-12 Coach of the Year over Jedd Fisch is a problem to me because I don't know that there's a coach in the country that has done a better job than Jedd Fisch. Again, as we always talked about on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, Arizona was predicted to be 4.5 wins, my friends. Guess what? That didn't happen. Arizona went for 9, and Arizona is knocking on the top 10 doorbell. Again, I don't know exactly what goes into all of this, but I think it's impossible to say that Kalen DeBoer did a better job coaching his team than Jedd Fisch did. When you look at a national coach, when you look at Coach of the Year awards, again, I don't know. Arizona was expected, quite frankly, to suck this year. And Arizona is one of the better teams in the country. Not only is Arizona one of the better teams in the country, it's also a team right now that absolutely nobody wants to play. That is a problem going forward for the rest of college football. And again, I don't know what Fisch needed to do. You also need to factor in as well that Jedd Fisch also is a look at what he did. He came here from a program that had lost 12 straight games. Not only did they lose 12 straight games, last year they won 1, then they won 5, then they won 9. I mean, the upward trajectory that this dude is on is something that's next level. Again, Kalen DeBoer did a fantastic job, but I don't know how Jedd Fisch does not get this award. Yeah. So, all right, on that note then, at the other one, Noah Fifita deservedly got the Freshman of the Year award. And honestly, I don't know that he. I think he should get the national award as well. Not only because again, he is. I'll just ask you guys this: which quarterbacks in the Pac-12 were clearly better than Noah Fifita this year? Not many. I mean, let's be honest here. Not many. All right. Let's just say I'll give you Michael Penix and I'll give you Bo Nix. That's it. Listen, Caleb Williams is absolutely fantastic. But if we're just going by this year, then it's Noah Fifita. Not only is it Noah Fifita, it's kind of Noah Fifita by a pretty good margin. Plus, Noah Fifita's team is better than the rest of these dudes. So again, I think that's something that you got to keep in mind. But Noah Fifita, they got that one right. Not only did they get that one right, I think that, like I said, I think he should probably win the national player or freshman of the year. All right, now let's talk about the first team all conference. I think overall, I think they probably got it. I think they got it pretty well. I think that it's probably fair to say that. Listen, Teteroa McMillan is as good a wide receiver as there is in the country, outside of Marvin Harrison, in my opinion. The The problem, though, is that there's about 5 or 6 of them, and 2 of them are lumped in the Pac-12, and they happen to be Troy Franklin and Rome Odunze. Both those dudes, listen, if you could only have 2, I'm okay with putting those 2 on there. T-Mac is going to be an absolute monster next year. I still think that it's fair to say, though, at this stage that those 2 I'm okay with. Jordan Morgan getting first team all-conference at tackle. Well-deserved. Not only well-deserved, I think it's also fair to say that he is probably going to be a first-round pick. A little surprised that Big Jonah wasn't on first team, but again, that day will come. I was very, very happy to see that Jacob Manu got the attention that he deserved by getting first team as well. So I think that was very, very well orchestrated. Then again, the one that I just keep coming back to is I just don't know how Jedd Fisch wasn't the national coach of the year, or what wasn't the conference coach of the year. That to me felt like that should have been pretty much a no-brainer. And not only should it have been a no-brainer, it should have been unanimous, to be honest with you, just because I don't think that it was really even close. So again, that is what it is. But overall, though, an awesome year for Arizona football. Not only was it an awesome year, I think it's fair to say that this thing's only getting started. Not only is this thing only getting started, Arizona, I think at this stage is also going to be, like we've talked about, one of those preseason top 10 teams next year. They're on that level for sure. Okay, now we're going to then talk a little bit about the national aspect. But again, I would vote for Jedd Fisch National Coach of the Year. Now, you might say, Mike, you're just being biased. Well, you know what? You're probably right. Probably being biased. I don't care. I'm allowed to be biased, but I think that I'm right on this because, again, this squad was not expected to do anything, and they are nationally relevant. Not only are they nationally relevant, they're also a team that I think at this stage in the game, it's also fair to say that nobody would want to play this squad. This is a team that is just problems across the board. We've talked about that, but I'm like I said, I'm at the stage where I just don't understand where Jedd did not get this. But again, that'll be another argument for another day. But now let's move on to the national. Have a little bit of national talk here. But first, FanDuel. All right. We are in the absolute best time of the year. FanDuel.com/LockedOn has you all covered, ladies and gentlemen. This is, again, you've got college football. Not only do you have college football, you got college basketball, you got the NFL, you got the NBA. You name it right now, it is going on. All kinds of good stuff. And again, I think it's also fair to say that this is a really good time to just hop in there and have a good time with all of this. Because again, this time of the year does not come through all the time. Obviously, I think it's also fair to say that right now, Arizona is a team that you should bet on. We've been trying to give you money. We've been trying to get you money. Get on to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Again, you will thank me later because, again, there's all kinds of good stuff that is going on right there on FanDuel. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to come back. We are going to talk about the national college football scene and maybe where Arizona actually stacks up in all of this. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats, and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we got more stuff to talk about here. And by more stuff, I mean we're going to go into the national realm. All right, here's my issue with the Final Four in college football. I have a problem with Florida State not getting in. I totally understand that Alabama is the better team. I get that. Totally understand all of that. My problem is this. Why in the world, I'll just ask you all this. If Alabama went undefeated and they lost their starting quarterback and the next game they beat a top 15 team 16-6, is there any way that they would not get into the college football playoffs? And we all know that the answer is no. And the reason is because the national media would say, well, I mean, let's be honest here. You've got to let's be honest here. You got to give them a ton of credit because shorthanded, their defense showed up, their defense showed out, and they showed exactly what they could do. That's exactly what we would hear. We all know that's exactly what we would hear, and it's annoying. Like I said, that bothers me. And a big part of that too is that it just shows you that when you stack the deck every single year, listen, at the top of the conference, the SEC is obviously awesome. Georgia, Bama, those schools, you get it. But this conference gets overrated every single year. So when you talk about going through the gauntlet that is the SEC, and you mention teams like, I don't know, Ole Miss, Kentucky, all those type of schools, those schools are just, they're overrated because of the Big 12 or because they're in the SEC. When Ole Miss played good teams, they generally lost. They beat LSU, cool. But there's really no difference between Ole Miss and Utah. It's the same school. So that to me is where the conference does get overrated, and I think it gets significantly overrated. It's very annoying to me. But again, that's my whole thing. Is if I thought that Alabama would be left out if their starting quarterback went out, totally get it, totally cool. But I don't think that's the case, and I don't know anybody that believes that's the case. That's why that annoys me, and that annoys me greatly. Okay. But that's my one big gripe. As far as picks, I do think I'm going to go with Washington. I'm going to back Washington. I think they're going to beat Utah, or I think they're going to beat Texas, and then I think they're going to beat the winner of Michigan, Alabama. I think Washington is going to be your national champion. Then a big part of it, then after that, let's move into the Big Ten a little bit to make fun of the Big Ten. All right, here's what the deal with the Big Ten is. The Big Ten is crap. In basketball, it is the most overrated sports entity that we've ever seen. Every single year, they get in 13 teams. Every single year, they all get bounced in the first round. And then we talk about how surprised we are that all the Big Ten lost all of these. The Big Ten lost all of this. Again, it is a conference that ESPN pushes. It pushes big time. And again, they're not athletic. They're slow. There's all kinds of issues in play there. But we're talking football here. Football is much the same. Listen, Ohio State and Michigan, very, very good. Those are your exceptions. Totally get it. The rest of the conference stinks. Let's use Iowa as an example. Iowa went 10-2 in this conference, actively trying not to score. Listen, I watched the entire Nebraska game, and I can tell you for a fact that Iowa stinks. Iowa, and we always hear about, how great their defense is. The second during the regular season, they played a good offense. They gave up points. Now, granted, they did play well against Michigan. The defense did. But overall, Iowa's not good. And every single year, the Big Ten is talked about as this great superpower conference. I think when Oregon and Washington, especially Washington, get in there, I think that they are going to run roughshod over the rest of that conference. And I think that, quite frankly, I think that we are going to see something where the schools that are coming in from the Pac are going to kind of run that thing. And not only run that thing, I think it's also fair to say that you're also going to watch them, and it's going to be I think there's going to be a difference in speed, and I think that is going to affect the teams of the Big Ten West immensely. Because there's a lot of poo. There's a lot of Purdue's. There's a lot of Minnesotas. There's a lot of Rutgers, Maryland's, just schools that don't really matter. There's that. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the Big 12. I get it's not a great football conference. I get it. It's the best basketball conference in the country. I actually like Big 12 football. I find it a fun, engaging product because these teams, it's just more exciting for me to watch than the Big 12 or the Big 10, where you've got a bunch of schools. Like I said, when Iowa is one of your best schools and they don't try to score, I don't like watching that. Next year, I think that it's going to be actually fascinating. I think it's going to be a fascinating conference. Listen, Oklahoma State's always in that top 15 to 20. There's somewhere in there. Look for TCU to rebound, year removed from the national title. Arizona, Utah coming in there, 2 top 15 teams. Man, it feels nice to say Arizona, top 15 team coming in there, but that's certainly the case. That's where we're at. You've also got some other really good teams. Obviously, Kansas State. You've lost some transfers for sure. That's going to be a little bit of an issue. But I still think that you can also say that right now that Arizona is kind of in that realm where they should be able to be competitive. Not only do I think that they should be able to be competitive, I think that this is going to be something where you're essentially able to, be able to compete at that highest level. I think that's exactly going to happen there. As a matter of fact, I think that Arizona is going to acquit itself very, very well in this conference. And not only do I think it's going to acquit itself very well, I think it's going to acquit itself in a manner in which you might win that conference to begin with. But again, that's more of a kudos to the University of Arizona than anything else, because I think this Arizona team obviously is loaded. Going to be interesting to see what happens with a school like Baylor. Baylor is not that far removed from being very good, being right in there. But it's obviously taken a little bit of a step back. This is going to be a big year for Dave Aranda. But overall, I'm excited. I also think that going to the Big 12 is going to help Jedd Fisch out a great deal. Not that he needs it, but you're going to start recruiting Texas more. Now, the ACC is fascinating because, again, it's Florida State, it's Clemson. Those are your 2 big dogs. And you've kind of set a precedent now where if you go undefeated, the playoffs will leave you out. Now, granted, it's going to be completely different next year because they're not going to be able to leave you out. Not only will they not be able to leave you out, they are not going to, it's going to be a 12-team format. I think that to me is great. That to me is much, much better. Excited to see that one. All right, now let's talk about the national awards, where I would go. Not that it matters. All of that next. But first, PrizePicks. All right. Again, this is the time of the year. Check it out. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. If you got a player that you think's a little bit better than people are giving him credit for, check out PrizePicks. Hop in there. This is the spot. Again, if you got, like I said, you got a little bit of a national feel or something, and you're like, all right, well, I think this player is going to catch more than that. Check it out. Again, PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Like I said, come right back with you. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk about the where I would go with the national. I would listen. To me, Jaden Daniels is probably going to win the Heisman. That to me is still kind of SEC stuff because he's doing. Listen, I see the numbers he's putting up. He's obviously really good. I would vote Michael Penix. I know that Michael Penix had a rough couple game stretch, but Michael Penix, when the chips are down, Michael Penix has found ways to win games. That's really kind of what I come back. That's really kind of what I come back to, is that he's found ways to win games when they really mattered. Look at that Oregon game. A lot of coaches would essentially say to their quarterback, all right, well, we're going to make Oregon use all their timeouts. We're going to punt the ball away, and then we're going to trust our defense. No, Kalen DeBoer said, Michael Penix, you are going to win this game, and that's exactly what he did. Like I said, at the end of the day, I do believe that he should win it. Probably won't win it, but that's who I would definitely vote for. National Coach of the Year, like we talked about. I don't know how it's not Jedd Fisch. This team was absolutely on nobody's radar going into the season. They're knocking on the top 10 door. That is something that that is something that you've got to, I think that you've got to consider, and you got to consider in a big way, is that they've tapped in and they've been able to do just that. I'm a big fan of everything that Fisch has been able to do, and like I said, I think he's out surpassed expectations in a way that is certainly indicative that he should win. That Coach of the Year award. It annoys me that he's probably not going to win it. Well, heck, it annoys me that he didn't win the Conference Coach of the Year award. So, let alone what I think of the National Coach of the Year award. I'm all right with the Iowa assistant winning the defense or the Frank Broyles award. I'm a little biased. I probably would have given it to Johnny Nansen because of the job that I think Johnny Nansen did with this defense, but that's all right. Iowa does have a good defense. They still stink, and they're incredibly boring to watch, but I get it at least with Iowa. And then it's National Freshman of the Year. I think it's called the Sean Alexander Award. The Noah Fifita, to me, is the easy choice. I don't know that there's anybody that's even close. And not only do I not know that there's anybody that's even close, I do believe that he should win it. Now, again, I don't know all the parameters, the rules involved as far as, redshirt freshman, all of that, but I think that he should win that award because I think he's certainly been the most he's certainly been the most dynamic, the best quarterback out there. So that would be mine. All right. Wanted to kind of hop around college football a bit this show because it's been a fun season, and we were able to get a lot of Arizona talk in there as well. Now, tomorrow we're going to come back. We're going to start talking about Arizona basketball taking on the Wisconsin Badgers. A lot to know about this game, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about all of that and more, but as always, thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. We'll be back with you tomorrow.